So Vectara is both actually a Fund 1 and a Fund 2 company. And it's the trusted generative AI platform for all builders and the trusted GenAI for business apps. Thanks, Amr, for having us. I'm just going to tell you a very interesting story about Amr. So Amr came to school in Stanford to study. And while he was studying, he sold the company for $9 million. He calls his dad, "Dad, I just became a millionaire. I have no investors, sold the company for $9 million. What do you think his dad said? He's like, "Did you finish your PhD?" He's like, "Not yet." He's like, "Call me back when you're done."
It's a true story.
And of course, following that, he ended up founding Cloudera, which sold for $5 billion. And now he left all that behind him because he's doing something even grander. That's Vectara. So, Amr, when you first started Vectara, what sort of impact were you trying to effect?
Yeah, I have a question first for the audience. Show of hands, how many of you saw the movie The Matrix? Okay, this is my crowd. So I think about 90% of the room raised their hand. But one of my favorite lines in that movie is when Neo was learning to fight Kung Fu. And simply the Kung Fu program came into his head and he just said, "I now know Kung Fu." And the same thing happened again with Trinity. Trinity is the lead actress in that movie where she wanted to fly a helicopter. And the helicopter program came into her brain and now she can fly a helicopter. So essentially, a normal human becomes a superhuman. They're able to do anything very quickly, learn to do that new thing. And this is really the journey we're on. The ChatGPT and OpenAI opened our eyes, all of us, to the potential of that. Is now we can have the software sitting by our side that can help us with everything that we do and answer any question that we have about the thing that we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do at Vectara is enable that for business. To enable that within a business concept, you have to solve some key problems in this technology. One of them is called hallucination. Show of hands, how many of you heard about hallucination? And I mean in the context of large language models, not in the context of California and Amsterdam, and you know what I'm hinting at right now. These large language models can sometimes make up stuff. They tell you how to fly the helicopter, and then they insert a couple of things that are not true that might crash the helicopter. Of course, that's not acceptable in a business in a business construct, and we solve that problem. So that's our vision. Is we see a world in the future where there will be Google Assistants and Alexas everywhere. Every single app you have, every single device you have, will have the smart thingy that will help you to use it way better. So this example we have here in this slide is actually one of our customers, a company called SonoSim. And SonoSim does this using our technology for ultrasound operators, for radiologists that operate an ultrasound machine. How you aim the gun when you're scanning the heart versus scanning the lungs versus scanning for pregnancy versus scanning a muscle is different. And how you calibrate the machine is also different. Now they have this smart assistant with them. They just ask it, what should I do in this case? And it tells them, like, you should recalibrate to these settings and you should aim in that. Oh, I'm facing this problem. What should I do now? And it tells them, you should do this now. So the average or even below average radiologist becomes an expert radiologist, just in the same way that all of us did not know how to navigate, to drive from point A to point B, yet now with Google Maps, we can go anywhere. That's exactly the trajectory that we're on, to do that for everything.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. What has Vectara accomplished in the last year?
We have a couple of key accomplishments I'm proud of. The first and foremost is the team. We have an amazing team that we built this year. This is our launch year. We started the year with just 3 people, myself and my co-founders. We now have 30 people in the company, all of them super smart. One of them is Bader right there sitting in the audience. He leads our ecosystem partnerships for the company. We raised a seed round of funding that Transform participated in of $28.5 million, which is very respectable for a seed round in a company. We started the year with just 100 users signed up to use our platform. And we now just crossed 11,000 developers leveraging our platform.
That's incredible. Well, what do you think is happening in the next 12 months in Vectara?
Yeah, so this year for us was very focused on one of the key stages in any company building a product, which is the product market fit, right? Is the truth you have a product that is built in a way that companies like SonoSim is able to use easily to solve a problem they care about. And this is our focus this year was entirely around that. Can we prove that? And can we prove repeatability of it? Meaning we're able to sell it in the same way over and over again. And we're almost there. We almost have that proof. Once we nail that proof and we know exactly how to sell that product, which I expect will happen within the next 3 months, then now we switch into scaling mode, where now it's about selling that over and over again in many, many places across the world. So we're hoping that will be the main goal of next year, is in the middle of the year, we'll detect, wow, now we prove this, we have the, let's press the gas and start scaling this across the world.
Wonderful. We can take some questions from the audience if there are any questions.
It's not so much a question, but a comment. And congratulations, because AI failed 30 to 40 years ago because it came in with arrogance of the general problem solver, GPS, something that could solve anything. 30 years later, it's come back replacing one letter. GPS became GPT, right? And the arrogance that you do not need domain knowledge, but you could just wing it, caused failure 30 years ago. And thank God you're doing it right by having the transformers learn from domain knowledge per se.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. That's very correct. Thank you for that observation. Yes.
All right, we have one more question.
Amr, thank you for this presentation. What was the reason for you to select this particular healthcare vertical as your first?
The healthcare is something we all understand and care about. I could have picked law. We have customers in legal using us. I could have picked finance. We have many investors using us to make investment decisions. Manufacturing. We have many that use us to troubleshoot machines and find problems in them. Customer support. There's many other verticals. But I thought with this focus on impact, what else than something we all care about is how can we live longer and improve our health. So that's why I picked this. And I really see this technology enabling many of us to be as good as doctors for diagnosis, which is a big problem in many countries in the world where people just call up their aunt. Hey, aunt, I have a headache and I have this temperature. What medicine should I take? And their aunt tells them and actually go buy it. That happens in Egypt a lot, which is a big problem in my opinion. So now we're going to have these smart assistants with us that are they're going to be better than the average doctor, definitely better than the aunt, but definitely better than the average doctor. And that's why I think from an impact point of view, this is very significant.
We have a question in the back there.
What you are accomplishing is incredible and remarkable. Congratulations to you and the whole team. What do you see as the biggest risk, right? Like you started your speech with the Matrix. I mean, there's like a lot of, I think sci-fi level concern with that, but like from a realistic perspective, what do you think the biggest risk is from giving everyone a smart device like this in their pocket?
I mean, that opens up a bigger question, which is what's the risk of AI in general? And the risk of new technologies in general, like AI, is if there will be, unfortunately, humans that will abuse it, that will use it in the wrong way, right? Like cars are meant to go from point A to point B. Cars are not meant to drive them and run other people over with. Yet we still have 40,000 people dying every year from cars. So are we going to be able to adapt to that and recognize that technology brings both good and bad? And we need to be able to extract as much of the good as we can. So I'll give you another very interesting example from here in San Francisco. One of the autonomous driving companies that we're operating here is Cruise. And Cruise, they're building very smart AI cars. They're way more safer than humans are. They just had one accident where they just killed one person by mistake. And now they were banned completely from going forward. I think that's a negative because we kill 40,000 people per year driving cars. This is how much we humans kill. So if AI can drive the cars in our place and only kill 5,000, I know it sounds bad, but that's way better than the 40,000. So that's kind of the issue that I see is we'll struggle a bit with the value that technology brings compared to what we are doing as humans.
We have a few questions. One in the back over there, please.
I know this might not be your domain, but when do you think your AI will put VCs out of a job and or make us not top quartile, top decile VCs better?
That's an excellent question. So first, one of our key use cases, and actually we have many investors already using our platform, they ingest the PowerPoint decks they're getting from the entrepreneurs. They put into it the investment memos that they write for why they're going to invest versus not, the analyst reports from JP Morgan and others. And now it helps them write the new investment memo. It helps them make the decision much quicker. It helps them be a lot more efficient, hence the term efficiency I have on my shirt here. But a big part of the VC's job is not that. It's actually the people part of raising money from LPs and convincing entrepreneurs why they should be work with them versus somebody else. And I think that's not something technology will replace anytime soon. So we still need them for that, unfortunately.
Okay, so I have a quick question here. So I'm an adjunct professor at Carnegie Mellon. I teach applied AI. So in our field, one of the challenges, particularly for healthcare, is high quality data for training. So I want to see that how do you get those information, particularly for giving the concerns data privacy. And the second thing is for this particular use cases, you need a high accuracy, as you mentioned, right? So for particularly diagnosis and treatment, that you want to have high accuracy, but the more anything about 90 or 95% become incredibly more difficult to, more resources to pursue the high accuracy. So how do you determine what is the right amount of accuracy that is acceptable, and how do you pursue that? Thank you.
These are very involved questions that would take a much longer time to answer. So I'll give the brief answer now, and I'm happy to connect later on for a more detailed discussion. But on the accuracy front, my belief is we just need to beat the humans. We need to beat the average humans. If we can beat the average humans by 100%, then that's great. We cannot be perfect. But the nice thing about AI is when it makes that mistake, when it makes that inaccurate mistake, and we tell it, don't make this mistake again, it will never make it again. But humans, you tell them, don't make this mistake again, and they still do it again, right? So I see a lot of hope, like, yes, initially it might not be 100% perfect accuracy-wise, but will improve over time. The other key issue is hallucination, and one of the key things that we built at our company and we released to the open source, it was actually covered in the New York Times 2 weeks ago. We were on the front page of the New York Times because of this, is a model that's called the Hughes Hallucination Evaluation Framework, which measures the accuracy of how these models make conclusions as a function of the facts they're coming in. And then last but not least, on your privacy question, our model of operation is we work with a given company with their own data for them. Right, so the output of our engine grounded in the data of that company, and the responses are only given back to them. So when you have that kind of approach, then you mitigate a lot of the concerns around the privacy. For consumers, it's a much harder problem. I agree with that.
Yes, so I'd like to hear a bit about your company's approach to impact. And how do you think about it? Is it just in terms of the theme of medicine in general? Is it implicit, or is there some explicit approach attached to your company?
Yeah, so impact happens in many shapes, ways, and forms. Our form of impact in this stage that we're at right now is to create technologies that help everybody become a lot more efficient in terms of what they do, right? So if that's a doctor, they can make decisions way faster. If that's a mechanic trying to troubleshoot a machine, they can troubleshoot it way faster. If that's a lawyer trying to finish a contract, they can finish it way faster. If it's a marketer trying to create a blog post, they can create it way faster. That's our focus, it's efficiency. We think we can make all of us 100 times more efficient leveraging technology than this. All of us can know Kung Fu and go beyond that. Now, later on, of course, because we're still in the product market fit stage of our company, we just got our seed round of funding this year in April. Later on, when we're more profitable, then of course we want to give back as well. We want to impact in that way, in allocating part of our revenues as an organization, going back to key efforts that we care about. But it's too early for us to focus on that. Right now, we want to focus on creating a great technology that impacts 1 billion and makes 1 billion.
Thank you, Amr. Really pleasure to have you, and front page of the New York Times. Let's end at that. Thank you.